Okay.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order by saying the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, attendance and appointment of alternates, we are short 2 members tonight. Nicole will not be here, and Christina, our alternate, also will not be here tonight, but we do have a forum to run the meeting. Approval of agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to move item 9, Board of Selectmen updates and referrals in front of number 8, monthly reports.
Second,
Second.
discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay, motion approved. Let's see, approval of minutes from our regular meeting on May 15th, 2024. A motion to approve,
Approve the minutes of May 24th.
there's seconds.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Public participation, anyone like to speak? Yep,
Hi, Kate Perry Trell, 28A, Folkestone Road. Regarding the item on the agenda about the high school track replacement. I'm here to speak in support. The high school has consistently had at least 50 students participate in track and cross country for a number of years. And currently there is a strong program at the middle school with at least 45 students participating. So the program is continuing to grow as kids come up from the middle to the high school. As a district, we would like to continue to support the track and cross country programs. We appreciate the support and the project being discussed this evening. If this could get done over the summer, it would be very helpful and less disruptive to other sports in the fall. Thank you.
others? Yes.
Tom Matthews, Melrose Road. I'm not here with an opinion on the projects that you're doing. But I'm here to protect our legal process. Our charter says that we have an annual budget process. We approve that budget in May. And changes to that budget require the legislative body of the town, if it's a significant number. The legislative body of the town, which is the town meeting, to approve that process. So what I'm wondering is that how you envision going forward with this? You know, let's say you as a group want to put a new roof on the fire station. I don't disagree with that necessarily, but are we going to give that authority to the town meeting?
That item would go to town meeting.
I'm sorry,
That item is because it's such a new appropriation would have to go to town.
you would have to go to town meeting.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad you appreciate that, because as I understand the charter, anything different than what was approved in May in excess of $20,000 requires town meeting approval. And town meeting approval or town meetings can be adjourned to a referendum if enough people put a petition together. Okay,
Thank you.
just trying to protect our governmental process here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Yes.
Craig Whiskey, 53 Amelia Road. I don't have anything formal prepared as well as Kate did. But I wanna put forth my support for the track and field project. If you've been down to the track and field, this is something that is a long time coming. I don't know what it takes to maintain a facility like this, but something has fallen through the cracks, and obviously everyone knows it's been condemned at this point. And I think moving forward, having an active high school and an active track team, and having no place for them to actually run or even host meets really doesn't make sense to me. I think sorry, lost my train of thought. I think if we want to have kids stay in the high school in town and not have them go to other districts or other schools, we need to have the facilities here to draw them in. A good example has been the local basketball program. That the current basketball coach is feeding the hopper, so to speak, with events going on at the elementary school and the middle school, and interest has doubled in 12 months. And I would hate to see kids like current kids who are running track not have a facility to work on, and then have kids coming up from the middle schools who are interested in track suddenly go to a school that doesn't have the ability to support their passion, and then decide to go to another school. So as a concerned parent, I'd like to see this move forward. September 1st is probably very positive. But if something like that could be done before the next school year, there's a lot of seniors that run, or incoming seniors that run track, and I think having the facility for their final year, or a better facility, would be advantageous to them and the school. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ben.
Andrew Math, Lieutenant Rod Street. I teach at the high school. I've been coaching track since 1998 on that very track. My colleague Dan and Ward is here as well. Two things that I think that are important to understand is that the age of the track is the problem. It contributes annually to a number of repetitive stress injuries that our young athletes have to face, shin splints. We fortunately we have not had the problem of someone turning an ankle or something like that. But the surface is not as forgiving as it needs to be for the quality of athletes that we try to train and produce. And so it's hard run athletes. And so with the track in the condition that it's in right now, rightly condemned because it has outlived its useful lifespan. In order for us, as Mr. Whitson said, and I think as Mr. Troll said, in order for us to continue to build the program and not lose athletes, we need to have a facility that meets their needs. And if we are not able to use the facility in the coming year, we will lose those athletes. And it's very hard to rebuild a program. In the years that we faced COVID, Coach Ward and our teams dwindled to about 9 girls and 12 boys, something like that, right? So between the years 2020 and 2024, we've rebuilt the program 5-fold. Just by drawing athletes in, by promising them a good program, promising a positive impact on their life and a positive experience. And should we not be able to produce that anymore, the entire program will have that same problem and will fall apart. And so therefore, we believe that this is a project that needs to be addressed by the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Fairly Coptic, West Action Lane. Like my coach said, a lot of us, especially myself, have been victims of stress injuries in the track. During my indoor season, I stress fractured my shin from doing a lot of running and stuff because I was training to run 600. So it's not necessarily something that can be done on the road and not something that can be done in a short distance. So I was running distance as well as doing field events. Speaking of field events, this year was the first person in our school in 6 years to compete in the heptathlon. So it's not only just having the track, but also having the field in the high jump area, which is also a result for my stress fractures. I had an ACL surgery in December of 2020. So running on our track has completely destroyed my knees and my ankles because of how bad it's been. And next year, I'm really looking to place well in the state championship for the heptathlon. This year, I placed 41st out of 73 athletes competing in all of Connecticut. I'm ranked 433rd nationally. So I'm really looking forward to increasing my placement next year. And I will only be able to do that if I have the facilities to actually practice, especially without getting hurt and furthering my injuries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joanne. I was actually the middle school coach at Eastwood Middle School 38 Barbara. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what everyone else said. We actually had 65 athletes come out for track and field at the middle school, being a population of just over 300. That's about 20% of the student population. that came out for track and field. Out of those 65, 58 ended up competing for the duration of the entire season. And we had 11 athletes qualify for the middle school state championship, including one of our athletes that came in third place overall in the state of Connecticut and a 55-meter hurdle. So track and field is it's a very accessible sport for everyone, and sports are kind of thriving, especially now with the pandemic. There's a lot of interest, and we need a facility to support that as well. Thank you.
Anybody else like to participate? Yes.
Hi, Jack Kittredge, 84 Windsor Road. I've been running track and field and cross country since I was a freshman in high school, and I know that the track at our high school has been a big problem for not only me, but all the athletes there. I've seen lots of injuries, like my coach said, shin splints. They've been a big problem and causing a lot of athletes to not be able to practice or compete. And even for my case, I've had to sometimes go to a different track. What school is it? PSA in Enfield, because they have a lot better facility, because I know running on my track, sometimes it could cause injuries or problems to my training. I know that something like this, as our program is beginning to rise with all the new freshmen coming up from the middle school program, and lots more athletes competing in track. I know that if we're able to get a new facility, it will help not only the school's program, but sort of the East Windsor community altogether. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Francis Neal, 153 Bell Road. As a parent of a kid who is moving up from the 8th grade into the high school, who has participated in both track and cross country, I think that it would be very sad indeed if we did not do something to replace the track at the high school, since we can't, as a town, use it for track meets any longer because it doesn't meet the standards necessary to do so. Also, knowing many members of this community who walk that track for exercise, many older members, the cracks and the splits and the unevenness of that track are, it's a danger to our citizens. So I believe that we should put forth the money and fix the track.
Thank you.
Should ask the
All to speak. Anybody else in the room would like to speak?
My name is Betsy Laborious. I live at 16 Church Street, and I am in support. I'm member of the Board of Education. I'd like to support the funding for the track replacement. I do that because I think, as you can hear with young people here that are talking about the importance of the track and what they do. And I think when we look at education, academics are incredibly important, but part of the experience of high school students is also athletics. And so I congratulate the young people here today, and I want you to consider that as an overall perspective. Do we support our young people in East Windsor? Thank you.
I'm Alan Baker, 340 Rye Street. I'm just here to support all four of these items. To me, they are an example of the things that we haven't taken care of in a long time. And anybody that knows me knows I'm often complaining that we don't take care of our stuff. This is an example of us as a community taking care of our stuff. And as you can see, with the support that at least one of the items have, and you'll find the others have too. These are the things that the community expect the people that they have elected to do with their time, right? Is to find these things, find the opportunities to improve the situation for everybody in the community. And I think all four of these do that. So I support them all. Thank you. Anybody else in the room before I ask online? Anybody online on Zoom like to participate in public participation?
Hi, Bill. It's Noreen Farmer, 247 South Water Street. I actually want to speak to you about all four of the projects. You've heard a lot about the track, and it's an obvious thing that needs to be done for a host of reasons. Not only does it serve our children, it serves the community as a whole. Many people use that track, or used to use the track. I used to go there all the time with my kids. I don't take my granddaughter there because I'm gonna break an ankle. No, thank you. You know, it absolutely is something that needs to be done. And as far as the rest of the items, they are absolutely things we need. We have traditionally and historically not taken care of our things. I know I've heard conversation about engineering studies for roofs and whatnot. These roofs have been on the table for 15 years. This is not something new that sprang out of nowhere. We have personnel in town who have looked at these roofs and can determine that it's not a matter of putting on another piece of tar to cover up the hole. The roof needs to get replaced. The conversation relative to any conversation about the Broderick Fire Department needing to move is a very valid one, but the reality is that building is still an East Windsor town asset. One way or the other, it is ours, and it should have a roof on it that does not leak and degrade the rest of the building. To be replacing ceiling tiles and walls because water is dripping down them and coming through light fixtures is just literally absurd. Those roofs need to be replaced. We put it off, we put it off, we put it off. We now have the ability to do it. And I'm in support of all 4 projects. I know that there were some other things that are possibly going to be talked about tonight, and I trust every member of the Board of Finance sitting there follows the rules, follows the charter, follows state statute, and does what they need to do in order to make sure that this town moves forward when we have the ability to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom like to participate? All right. Yes.
So I have a comment on Noreen's comment about, she just mentioned that there's maybe something else on the agenda tonight. I'm not gonna comment on the 4 items. I obviously, as a board of selectmen, voted in favor of the track. And I voted in favor of the communications money, but I would oppose the other 2, and I'll wait for the town meeting to speak about that. I'm not gonna do that tonight. I think you should send that to town meeting so that the taxpayers the voters have a right to make a decision, but Ms. Farmer just said something about other action being on tonight. I noticed that there was a section called 23-24 transfers, but I assume that does not include the $930,000 requested transfers from the first selectman, because that's not on the agenda. And none of those specific items are on the agenda, notify the public that there would be a discussion tonight or vote tonight on transfer of $930,000. I have an opinion about the charter, and I have an opinion about the state statutes and about how much and your policy. And I posted some of that online, and I'm not going to talk about that tonight because I expect you won't be voting on the $930,000 of requested transfers from the first selectman because it's not on the agenda tonight. And that little line that said 23-24 transfers would not be in any way reasonable to notify the public that that would be taking place. So Ms. Farmer may have some knowledge of something that the rest of us don't, but I hope she doesn't. I hope that that's not offered tonight. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? All right. First off, I'd like to thank all of you for participating in my 9 seasons on the Board of Education. All right. Board of Finance. This is the most probably participation I think I've ever seen in a meeting, so I guess we need to find more exciting topics to talk about. So again, thank you all. It's great to have participation like this, and please participate in our budget process at this level. We'd love to hear more comments when we do the budgets as well. So, but again, thank you all very much, especially the youngsters, for getting involved in the process. So we appreciate it. All right, with that, we'll move on, and we did vote to move the Board of Selectmen updates referrals. So Jason, I understand you have a little presentation.
We have a communications first.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed communication. Yes, I did.
I get set up.
Communications, Tom, you had to do yours.
Yeah, a number of years ago on the Board of Finance, we talked about when a referendum was put out for vote and it was voted no. We didn't know whether it was because it was too low or somebody might have felt it was too high. And I happened to see North Branford, their recent budget referendum results. They allow their voters to vote no, that they thought their budget was too low, or no, that they thought it was too high. So we had just talked a few years ago about how would we know what the no vote really meant. At least another town, does have that option to, have people tell us whether it's too low or too high. And then, yeah, go ahead.
I think you can vote yes or no, but this is just for information. I don't think this can be a draw of, because we looked into it and can.
You did.
Yeah,
It's advisory.
and it's advisory only.
Right.
So you still have to vote yes or no,
Right,
but then you answer the question if you choose to,
okay.
whether you're.
So they'll potentially be added to the ballot. I mean, would influence the vote, yes or no, but it could be a question to help the board going forward. So it may be something we need to look into for in the future. Thank you, Tom, for bringing that up. I did see that somewhere as well. Actually, my in-laws are from the town of North Branford, so I have a little knowledge of that town as well. Jason.
Amy, can you turn can you let me share my screen, please?
Sure.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of things tonight. First of all is the condition of the undesignated fund balance relative to the end of the year. Secondly is a funding opportunity to move forward with the replacement of the high school track, uses American Rescue Plan Act dollars and impact payments from the Rapid Solar. And the third is the fiscal year end transfers. So the town has a long-established fund balance policy of making sure that our fund balance is between 10 and 20% of our total operating costs. The auditor has recommended that and has consistently recommended that we have approximately 2 months worth of cash on hand in the undesignated fund balance, which is a little shy of 17%. Also clearly within the 10 to 20% parameters of our policy. Currently, we are at 24%. Which means that there is a need for us to spend down that balance so we become in compliance with where our policy requires us to be. The process to move forward from that is the Board of Selectmen makes a recommendation to the Board of Finance. If approved by the Board of Finance, that recommendation is forwarded to a town meeting, and the town meeting decides whether or not to authorize those appropriations that we're going to discuss. So here is what the Board of Selectmen is recommending for use of those funds. And if you can minimize that screen, you'll be able to see it a bit better. First, you may have heard that Representative Foster was able to secure for the town an $8 million bond, which will be used for the replacement of our emergency radio system. Our hope is that we'll be able to develop this system in concert with the towns of Ellington and Windsor and make something that's a regional public safety communications hub for North Central Connecticut. And securing those state bond funds is a tremendous success, an unqualified tremendous success. However, there are some caveats that still need to be worked out with that. As it stands right now, the total project cost is $11.4 million. However, there are a number of variables still in play that is going to see that number come down as we get closer to moving forward with this. First, Chief Carl is working with state officials to put additional pressure on Motorola to better apply the discount on that project, which they are likely to do. I haven't had an update on that that has happened, but I know that that is happening. I also want to give, because it's here in the room, but also if he were, I'd be saying these phrases anyway. This has been a major undertaking that Chief Carl has taken on in his first year, and we are seeing tremendous success as a result of that. From state partnerships to support from our legislators to interlocal relationships forming, to intra-local relationships moving this project forward so that we will be able to have not just a sufficient, but a role model example of a public safety communication system that will service North Central Connecticut. This is a big deal for us. But what we're still trying to do and what we still need to do is get around the table and figure out of the remaining balance, what portion still belongs to the town of East Windsor versus potentially to the town of Windsor. What's included in the project costs that are want to haves versus need to haves. All said, that total budget number is going to come down from where it is right now. The governor's office has been clear with our legislators and with the town that they expect there to be local skin in the game in order to move this project forward. That's one of the conditions associated with them awarding the bond for us. So the $990,000 request satisfies that obligation set forth by the office of the governor to get the $8 million. We also, we know that we need to replace the roofs on the Public Works garage and on the Broadbrook Fire Department. These projects were included in at least the last 2 years worth of CIP project requests. The pricing for both projects has been updated as recently as today, and the pricing that I'm putting forward holds. So, the next thing I want to talk about is the high school track replacement. You'll recall that the Board of Selectmen, I think in May, decommitted an authorization of the use of American Rescue Plan Act dollars for the engineering concerning with the replacement of the high school track. The request is that the Board of Finance do the same, decommit that money for the engineering, and that we reallocate those funds to the actual replacement of the track. Because we're going to use the original footprint, we don't actually need to engineer the new project. So we're asking that those funds be recommitted to the actual replacement of the track. The selectmen are also recommending the allocation of $450,000 in impact funds from Gravel Pit Solar, which when paired with $120,000 in American Rescue Plan Act dollars will allow us to complete the project we expect this summer. BOS has approved the reallocation of the ARPA funds and the allocation of the impact payments. We're requesting the board's finance do the same so that the town meeting can be set to approve that. If we move quickly enough, we can get this project done this summer so that it doesn't interrupt fall sports. If we don't move quickly enough to accomplish that, we will certainly have an impact on fall sports at the field, but we'll also see the price likely change again. Just since the first time we got this quote, I think Patrick provided me the first one of these back in mid-April, the price has already gone up by $70,000. The quote's good for 30 days and then they reassess it. So it's a truism that it is always cheaper to do it now than it is to do it later. So I would like to see that move forward with all due urgency so that we can not only lock in the price for the quote, but also complete the work before it has an adverse impact on student athletes in the fall. The process to do that is the same as an added appropriation. Board of Selectmen has to approve that, which we have done. The Board of Finance has to approve that, which we're asking you to do tonight, and then that will be forwarded to a town meeting. Secondly, next, I know that there has been some chatter about whether the transfer process that the town has used for many years is being done appropriately, particularly whether transfers are appropriations or not. So I asked the auditor specifically this, and I'm going to read it. Does Connecticut General Statutes 7-347 allow the Board of Finance to make line item transfers between departments? Line item transfers are not addressed in the charter, but the charter does say that the Board of Finance shall follow state statutes unless additional powers or duties are specifically conveyed to them by the charter. We are thinking that it is wholly within the authority of the Board of Finance to transfer currently appropriated dollars from one line or department to another. Are we correct? To which the auditor opined, that is my understanding and interpretation of Connecticut General Statutes, Chapter 106, Town Boards of Finance, Section 7-347, which states, the Board of Finance may transfer unexpected balances from one appropriation to another, but no amount appropriated for any purpose, whether general or special, shall be used or appropriated for any purpose unless the same is recommended by the Board of Finance. So the auditor has affirmed that the process that the town has consistently used to move monies between lines of departments has been the correct one. With that question resolved, I'm happy to answer any questions as we move forward to the transfers that we are requesting you consider this evening. As I said, we do have a year-end surplus. It's about $930,000 because of the already overstocked fund balance. We can't lapse it back into that without exacerbating the problem that we're trying to address here. We have the following recommendations to put forward to you. You'll remember that during the budget process, I have removed a number of requests that qualify for capital consideration so that the budget recommendation that went to the Board of Selectmen and then to the Board of Finance and then to the voters would be as low as possible. I also did that with the intention that we would try and complete those projects if funding allowed within the end of the fiscal year. And that's where we are now. So of the list that's on that board, that includes funding for road improvements, AEDs and town properties, and paving for the cemeteries. We're also looking at needed infrastructure improvements that were included in the CIP ranking list, specifically repairs to the Broderick Elementary School chimney and replacement of the East Windsor Middle School water line. That one in particular, I'm going to flag as mission critical. That has to happen. There have been complaints over time, and you can hear it now buzzing in this room. There have been complaints about the layout and the audio video equipment in this room. We're asking for $20,000 to replace that and update that so that the ring will just be in my ears instead of everybody else's. The town received an American Rescue Plan Act grant from the Department of Aging and Disability Services for gym equipment at the community center, and the outstanding balance for that project is $18,336. Supporting documentation for that was provided to you all via email yesterday. The Board of Selectmen recently approved contract work for drainage to be done on Tromley Road, which will stop the street flooding that happens there, which is a serious flooding issue, but it's also a more serious icing issue in the wintertime. That will require $60,000. We're asking for the funding for that. We're seeking funding to update security cameras at town properties, and that estimate is to be $50,000. The police department has expressed a need for cruiser supply boxes to outfit each police officer with needed equipment within the community in their cruisers. And the chief and the deputy have quoted that at being $15,500. Again, supporting documentation was shared with you all via email. We have had complaints over time that there is inadequate signage at certain properties. So we are updating our zoning regulations to allow us to fix that. So far, we can't be the only ones, we can't be expecting to enforce our rules if we're not going to follow. So we're changing the zoning regulations, and then we're asking for the funding to install 2 electronic signs similar to the ones in front of South Windsor Town Hall. Those would be at the town hall and at the town hall annex. And while we're speaking, I also provided quotes for that via email. Speaking of signage, the designated signage in the industrial park is in significant disrepair. We have provided a quote to you all that replacing that would cost $5,300. And you may or may not be aware of this, but a few weeks back, our K-9 officer was in a collision and the K-9 vehicle was totaled. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. That's first and foremost, nobody was hurt, but the vehicle was totaled. And replacing the K-9 vehicle is critical to maintaining the K-9 program. So we're asking that $58,000 be used for the replacement of that vehicle, which when combined with the insurance payment, will cover the cost of replacing that vehicle to make sure that that officer has what he needs in order to do his job. We also provided documentation supporting upgrades to the police department phone system, which Chief Carl can speak to more specifically, but for which we also provided you documentation via email. So in summary, the Board of Selectmen is asking the following. Please consider additionally appropriating funding from the fund balance for the town's emergency radio system and roof replacements at DPW and the Broadbrook Fire Department. Those projects also require town meeting approval. Please consider reallocating $120,000 from the town's American Rescue Plan Act allocation and $450,000 from the town's gravel pit solar impact dollars for the replacement of the high school track. Those authorizations would also require town meeting approval. And finally, please consider the transfers as I've outlined them. As confirmed by the auditor, yours is the final approval necessary to move these projects forward. And these will benefit our public safety, our roads, our school facilities, and our recreational offerings. You guys are the final authority on that. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Any board members have any questions? We're all supplied the information to read and think about. We'll bring them up individually and we can discuss them, but we can call it at that time.
You want me to stand?
You can say.
I had a minor question about the signage. Is that remotely programmed so you can sit somewhere and change the sign with a laptop?
Yeah, the digital signage, you probably could do it on an app on your phone.
Okay.
But the digital signage is, that's what that would be, programmable. All right, thank you.
All right, so since we moved number 9 at 8, there are 4 items in item number 9, so I guess we'll go 9A. Consideration of possible action, the request for $990,000 for the radio system replacement approved by the Board of Selectmen on June 6th. This radio system we're currently using is how old?
19 years, Chief.
Circa 2003, probably went in 05 and then it was outdated in 07. It was end of life 07 supported basically till now.
It's 100% past its useful life.
Like, no, we've talked about this.
Like twice over.
And this supports.
It's 200%.
Yeah, it supports the fire departments, the ambulance department, the police department.
So it supports all of our emergency services, police, fire, EMS, public works, senior services, the school district. But it also is going to provide amplified response for anybody who's on the state system responding in North Central Connecticut. And that's why the state is in for $8 million of the project cost, because there is a significant incentive for them, for us to build this system that will support what they have in place. We're working on an interlocal agreement with the town of Windsor, to basically expand off of the system that they have. And it provides for an additional repeater presence in Ellington High School, which currently is an emergency radio dead zone. They cannot speak to each other in the building. So we're addressing all of those things. Most of which is covered by the state bond, but Chief Carl has been taking point on those intra and interlocal conversations.
All right, do I have a motion from the board to approve?
Make a motion to approve the 900,000 for the radio system repair, or 990, I'm sorry,
And refer to town meeting.
for the go to the town meeting vote.
I second.
Any further discussion? It's been discussed the budget process and before it's not like it happened before the board. Obviously, it's something needs to be done and we can take advantage of state dollars anytime we have them. Let's do it. So. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9B, $800,000 for replacement of the public works roof. I have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve $800,000 for the public roof replacement to be moved forward to town meeting.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Discussion? All right, just speak a little bit on one of my things I learned from working on old farms and buildings, that if you don't take care of the roof, the rest of the building's not worth much in a few years, so. Roofs are leaking, isn't hitting electrical boxes and whatever else, it's time to do it, so. Obviously in favor of this project.
Do we know how old the roof is? Jason?
How old is the roof?
What's that?
DPW.
Yeah.
Town garage.
I'm not sure how old that is, to be totally honest with you.
All right, any further discussion?
I was looking at something that we got, and they did do a study where they did some cuts into the roof. And they analyzed the condition of it, and I thought there was some date stamp there, which was old. So like 1991, does that sound?
That sounds right. The garage was built in 1976, so that would track.
So that's the date stamp on it.
Very good, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There's C, $400,000 for roof replacement of the Broadbrook Fire Department. We have a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve $400,000 for the replacement of the roof of the Broadway Fire Department and move to the public meeting.
Is there a second? Okay. Further discussion? Pretty straightforward amongst us. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And letter D. So we need to make a motion to unapprove, to undo what we did before and move the money to.
Yes, the first motion that should be done is to decommit the authorization for the $120,000 for the engineering for the track.
Sorry. And that's not about that.
And I'll second that.
So this was essentially at a prior meeting. A year ago, whenever it was, we approved $120,000 for engineering. As Jason stated earlier, because we're using the same footprint, we do not need to re-engineer the track. So we can take that money and put it towards the construction process, and that's what this motion is going to do, is decommit the engineering and move it towards the construction project.
No, we're just decommitting.
Just a decommitting, sorry, then we'll talk about this construction part later, okay. You have a motion, we already made a motion. Second.
Second.
This is ARPA, can you read the motion back, please?
The motion,
The decommit.
Decommit authorization for,
the $120,000.
yes, $120,000
The track engineering.
for track engineering.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
And who's our second?
And that was, it was Randy, then me.
George, yes, please. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that money is decommissioned from engineering. Now do I have a motion to approve $120,000 of the ARPA funds and $450,000 from the impact payment funds to do the East Windsor High School track replacement project? And refer to town meeting.
Can you split those? Do those.
No, separately.
They're possible.
Okay, two different pots of money, sorry. Have a motion to approve $120,000 of ARPA funds towards the track construction project
So moved.
And I'll second that.
and make sure it's to town meeting.
Whole time meeting.
Further discussion? I would just speak, my daughter was on the track team. She didn't run because the coaches probably had made a good choice of not letting her run. But she was a throwing person and I used to go down and, she used to throw shot put and discus and I would go down there when she wanted to practice on weekends. And the track is always busy with general public, so as well as the high school using it, I mean, there's people walking, jogging on that track all the time and I just, so this is a benefit to the high school, obviously, and to the school system, but it's also a benefit to the town as a whole, so. I'm wholly in favor of this project and it's long overdue. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion for $120,000 to be moved towards track construction, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Second motion for $450,000 impact payments. You have a motion.
Make a motion for $450,000 of impact funds to be used for the East Windsor High School track to be moved forward to town meeting.
Second.
I'll second.
Second. Further discussion? Probably not.
I'd just like to say one thing, for all the folks here that came and made very compelling arguments in favor of this, I hope you will go to the town meeting when it gets voted on and do the same thing, because the general public needs to hear how important this track is for everyone. So I would hope we would all come back when we have our town meeting.
All right,
My only other issue is, I hope somewhere down the road that we can get the school facilities, field facilities management company or the town to take over the facilities. We don't want anything the same or as we are. To take care of the track with, they take care of the lawns and the ground. I think that would be a good choice down the road.
anything else? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. So town meeting will be scheduled, you all be notified as the date of the meeting, and please turn out to speak in favor of these projects. All right, we now move on to our number 8 monthly reports, and we'll start with the 23-24 town financials. Amy.
Okay, well, we're almost done with the year. These are through May 31st. And you can see currently, we have over $1 million extra in state money. That is the $1 million in Pequot money that we got for not having the casino, which was not known about when we budgeted, but the money has $676,000 of it has come in. The rest will be here this month. And we are over in tax collections, not in current, because some of it's the motor vehicle money that comes in during the state money. So that the motor vehicle tax cap money is $277, and that comes in under state money. And she's short $440, so she's almost there, over in prior taxes by $340,000. Motor vehicle supplemental over by $137, and interest and liens over by $198,000. So her overall positive is $181,000. In treasurer, I have brought in $743,000 of interest, compared to about 25 about 3 years ago. So that almost covers our appropriation of our budget money of 1.2 million. We are over in town clerk by just a little bit. We are over in planning by a little bit. We are over in building by $175,000. And overall, we are over by $850,000 currently, making up for the use of fund balance of 1.2 million and still having $800,000 left. Good. So that will eventually roll for the fund balance next year. So anybody have any questions on revenue?
I have none.
Expenditures. There's nothing specific. The big places we're over, which you'll see in our transfers, are debt, because we're still budgeting for the capacity. So when we do a school roof, we'll be able to actually pay for the debt service on it. There's a little bit in, health insurance. There's a little bit in officer salary, but a lot of it will be covered with some of the overtime that they need and some of the transfers that have been made out there. And not all are quite spent yet. Of the $120,000 we did for police a few months ago, they've spent 71,000, but they assure me they'll spend all of it by the time June 30 gets it. They may have already spent it all. We have savings in, we'll have a little bit in sanitation, but you guys remember I did a transfer there earlier, and single stream slowed down. So we're not gonna be as high. I gave them 20,000 extra, and we're probably gonna have about 10 left. From there, employee benefits, the big savings is the $250,000 47th payroll, really only needed to be for 1 day, so it only needs to be for $20,000. So, next year it's for 2 days, so that number's significantly lower in the 24-25 budgets. And that's really, we have some FICA savings, but that's because all the officer positions that were empty and other positions in DPW that never got filled mean we're not paying FICA either if we're not paying the bodies. If anybody else has any questions, but right now we have $2.7 million left in the budget. And I'm expecting 930, which is the transfers I'm asking for in the transfers.
Just have a quick question.
Sure.
Why do we not list our encumbrances?
We don't really encumber.
Okay.
The only time we encumber is really at the end of the year. I don't go through and encumber like people's salaries or stuff like that. And in about January, I start doing an analysis, which I do estimate what I think my numbers will be at the end of the year, how I can tell you what the number's gonna be. But we don't really encumber anything unless we're having something that carries over from this year into next year.
Okay.
If somebody does a contract now and can't get it done because it rains all next week, and so then they have to push it off to July, that would be a situation where I would actually encumber. Just different than how the Board of Ed does it.
Well, that's
I know, significantly different, but just really a use of how you use POs. And then the other reportings I have on page 19, 20, and 21 is what's in CNR. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions on there. All of it, there you'll see the fourth item down is that impact money. We have 600,000 of the 1.5 million so far. And the ask is for the allocation of 450 of that towards the track. I don't think there's really anything. The sidewalks was asked about the other night at CIP. That's gonna be the match for the connectivity grant, which we got before I ever started working here. And still hasn't happened yet, but it's in the works. And the fire service has their money for their truck. They have $457,000. Which they put away $200,000 at a time and then pay their debt service. And there's really not much else. Our roads is down to 600,000, and I think the bid they just approved was 1.2 million. For work that needs to happen. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, in the community center, that money cannot be spent until we've spent all our ARPA money. Because ARPA has strict restrictions on when that money needs to be spent by. Gotcha. Does anybody else have any questions? Right now, we have $4.8 million in our CNR, but all spoken for.
Well, that's what I had a question about, under CNR, under Parks and Rec, under the play equipment.
Yep.
They're
135?
Yeah.
That is the last payment on our playground. It actually got cut today. So by next month, you'll see that would be zero. But that's the last of, we did, before you were on the board, we did an allocation of $330,000. I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. And that is the last of that money, because we had to spend the $500,000 grant first.
Okay.
So some of each grant kind of works a little differently. USDA for the community center says our money has to be all spent before they'll give us anything. And in this case, we spend all the grant money, we get it all back, and then we spend our own money.
Thank you.
Yep. I think that gets you to the end of my reports.
Yep. I had no questions when I reviewed the reports.
Okay.
Anybody else have questions? Good.
Oh, I did give you fund balance, just so everybody could see that there was really $2 million available in surplus over the 20%. amount. That's the last page of my report.
Okay, if there's no other questions on town financials, I'll call upon the Board of Ed financials.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, we're working hard, to get to the end of the year. I know a lot of people are curious about what our number is. I will say we're in a much better position than the previous 2 years to, give that much earlier. Just in a couple positive notes, we did just finish our, balloon paycheck, balloon payroll for the teachers. That's a huge undertaking between the admins and the business office. That went off pretty much without a hitch. We've since removed all the encumbrances that we had for the salary lines. And then for the first time in, I'm sure, many years, we've actually been able to, get confirmation from the state that all of our grants are spoken for and being drawn down timely, so we won't, be returning any money there. Between, the admins and the business office right now, we're working as hard as we can to kind of do our final kind of movement between the grants and little transfers here and there, to get us, through the end of the year. We have our final payroll next week, and then we have kind of an accrued payroll after that, which is minor tweaks there. But we will be able to give you guys a end of year number very shortly. Does anyone have any specific questions as far as the financials go?
No, I mean, with the report you would put us for our package, I mean, it says there's about 211,000 roughly. That's that I'm reading here. If I'm reading the right line, that's after grants, I think.
Yeah, just keep in mind again, that's through May. There's a number of items, whether it be hourly employees or just certain, not necessarily utilities, but like other bills that are coming in that I don't have encumbered for, which does affect the available balance. So just to be clear, that's not what I'm anticipating us ending with. But I think that'll kind of flesh out in the next meeting, because you'll see all the minor transfers between the cost centers.
So basically with your encumbrances, and so you have $211,000 for your unknowns, basically, is the way this reads.
Yes and no. I mean, there's some offsets that are coming, as far as like medical goes, like that aren't reflective, in that, so that number will tweak a little bit. But it's close, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any further questions from the board? Okay. All right, fiscal year 23-24 transfers. As you can see, there is a list of them here presented to us tonight. We'll go line by line, and we can discuss each one individually and ask questions if the departments are here to discuss with us. So transfer request number 37 is for $922,136. You can see the line items that moves the money for, and that would make the money available for CNR projects. And that's what that.
Oh, can we fix that to 916,836? I pulled the industrial park sign out, but I did in the top, but not in the bottom.
916,836 is the number.
Sorry.
So can I have a motion for transfer request number 37?
I'll make a motion for transfer number 37 to move money in the amount of $916,836 for expenditures for the CNR in various projects that are listed.
There's a second on the motion.
Second.
Discussion? Again, this moves where any has surpluses and it makes it available for projects. Any further discussion?
Maybe this sanitation with the $10,000.
That's my single stream. I gave them it earlier in the year, and now I'm taking it back to need it. There's a couple in here, the senior services food, when we thought CRT wasn't gonna provide meals, we came here for appropriation out of contingency. We sent it over to them, and then they didn't need it. CRT came through with some other funding. So some of them are transferred, and general assistance is the same way. That's money we moved to them that now they're giving back because they didn't end up needing everything I gave them.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of transfer request number 37, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
So the next two are the non-CNR items.
okay.
They don't qualify to be part of our CNR because one is AED boxes for, the community services department. And the other one is the sign at the industrial park. Neither one is big enough to be included in our CNR.
So, all right. So, do I have a, motion to approve transfer request number 38 for Park and Rec?
I'll make a request to transfer for Park and Rec number 38 in the amount of $8,000 for the addition of AED boxes.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Discussion. And I assume this is for the various parks and community center and whatnot.
The parks.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any further discussion? It's a good idea to have them available to us. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, transfer request number 39 for the town planner. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion for transfer request 39 for the town planner, transfer $5,300 to site improvements for the industrial, to replace the industrial park sign.
There's a second.
I'll second.
Discussion. I guess I need to pay attention because I don't know where the sign is.
At the end of Thompson Road.
My name is Duncan.
Farms.
Right next to them? Okay. Further discussion or questions? Right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, transfer request number 40 for Public Works.
Motion for transfer request number 40 for public works for $237,000 to be transferred to public roads or, public roads.
Public Works Road.
Public works roads, I'm sorry. In improvements for 23-24.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Sure that they have a list of roads they need to do work on, and I'm assuming this is for paving or chip sealing or something along those lines. All those in favor? Aye. Say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 41 for Public Works as well. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion on transfer number 41 for Public Works in the amount of $27,000 to be transferred to Public Works Road for cemetery paving.
I'll second it.
And under discussion on this one, this is something we did talk about in the budget process. The cemetery committee's been coming to us for years, long as I've been on the year, asking us for money for pavement, and Jason committed to them that we would find some money to cover it, some of the paving in some of the cemeteries, so. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Transfer request number 42 for Broadbrook Elementary School.
I'll make a motion for transfer number 42, Broadbrook Elementary School, $90,000 for Broadbrook Elementary School improvements for the chimney breaker.
Second.
All right, under discussion, I mean, all the board members do have documentation. You can see the water that's been leaking in the building. Might be close to some electrical pin also, probably not good. And obviously well needed, so. Any further discussion on this project?
Just a question, when would it be expected to start? I didn't know if I saw that. Is that Patrick?
What's it mean?
Yeah.
We have to put it out to bid, but they can do it during summer. They
Summer.
can, and they did say they can do it while kids are in. the building.
Okay. That was my next question.
Great. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the $90,000 for the Broadbrook School chimney repair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 43 for Town Properties. Have a motion.
Make a motion, transfer number 43 for Town Properties in the amount of $20,000 for renovations to the sound equipment in the meeting rooms at Town Hall.
For a second.
Second.
Discussion. We all heard the ring just a little while ago. So, any further discussion on this project? So none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 44.
Make a motion for transfer for number 44 for town properties of $250,000 to transfer to the town properties East Windsor Middle School water line for replacing the water line on Main Street.
Second.
Second.
And I assume this is gonna hook into the new water line they just put into the road.
Actually, we had them put a connection off the road so they didn't have to dig back into it. That road is gonna be resurfaced and completed. They're telling me in June. It's the 18th, so they're saying in June. But just so that we didn't have to dig back into the road, into the grass on what is the west side, there's already a cut in so that we can attach to that.
Is this the one that kind of runs between a couple houses?
It is.
See that, shot into the school.
Patrick, Joe and I were out there at 10:30 at night, one night in April with Connecticut Water. They were actually using the old school, like the wood coat hanger things to try and find where the water line came from. It was something to see.
And that will be done this summer, you know?
That's the goal.
Alrighty, any further discussion on this project? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, transfer request number 45 for the Park and Rec Department. Got a motion?
Make a motion for transfer 45 to transfer 18,336 to Parker Rec equipment for community center fitness equipment.
For a second.
Also second.
Okay, there is grant money that's covering the majority of this in your information packet we have here.
Now, the total was $48,000, and $30,000 is coming from ARPA money from the disabilities, aging and disabilities department in the state.
And then the balance is $18,336.
That's correct.
What
It
will
only falls
the,
there in public participation, so I can't just speak.
But it wasn't on the agenda. What do you mean?
These details were on the agenda.
The transfers, this is a normal monthly transfers we do, they're always on the agenda. All right, any further discussion?
yeah, I had, what will the hours be at the community center and who will be able to utilize this gym?
So the gym equipment is gonna be specified, or it's gonna be designated in a particular room. The normal operating hours are gonna be the normal business hours of town departments with some expanded access in certain areas. So for example, office space is not gonna be general access on Saturday. The actual final details around how we're going to incorporate the 7-day usage of the facility, if that's what it comes out to be, have not been determined.
Well, that's my main thing. I mean, if it's not gonna be open to the public 7 days a week or even in the evening, this is a lot of money for gym equipment when we were a grant of $30,000. Why couldn't we have worked within that $30,000 to equip this gym?
So reasonable point, I suppose, but you know, as I said, the hours have not been determined.
Thank you.
We're working on building it first.
Well, and that's another question, that all this money is being spent. And it's gonna be sitting in a warehouse somewhere. All the equipment until the building's finished.
Yeah, the building's gonna be finished by May 1st.
Right, but we're paying out this money right now currently.
Have we done the PO on it yet?
No.
So it's not sitting anywhere.
Right, this,
Well, that's what I mean, it's
so
just,
this money is getting it over to CNR, so then when it is available, it would be
Yeah,
available
this is,
then.
once it's in CRA, once it's
Okay.
approved, it can sit there and be spent in
It can go past
October
2/30.
2025, it doesn't matter, it's where this. By doing, you put it in CIP, it does not have to be spent by June 30. They can sit there, and if it's 2026 when they decide to put the equipment in, it's 2026, but the money's approved now. I don't know how good the grants were, well, the grant's good for it, but this money could sit there until they could buy $30,000, they could buy this equipment 2 years down the road, but the money's included to do that sometime. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed,
3 to 4, 1
and
opposed.
only because I'd like to know more about the hours and be able to utilize the equipment.
Motion passes. Public Works, number 46.
I'll make a motion for transfer number 46 from Public Works in the amount of $60,000 to repair drainage for the Tromley Road.
Second.
Discussion, I have driven down Tromley Road in heavy rains and there's definitely a drainage issue on the road. Not everybody may travel the road, but I know the residents on the road are not happy about it. Further discussion? See none, all those in favor of transfer request number 46 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Number 47, town properties.
We'll make a motion for number 47, town properties, in the amount of $50,000, transferring to, town property security for town property security upgrades.
For second,
Second.
discussion. Just give us a little more on this garage. I think it was in here, but I remember seeing a lot in there on it.
This is the security.
Yes.
So we're updating our camera systems at the park, this building, and the community center. One of the reasons this came up, we recently did an emergency management drill. And the drill focused on election integrity and election security. And what we'll be able to make sure that we can do is have particularly the ballot drop box on a higher definition camera. So that we can make sure that there is integrity in the drop box portion of the process, but it's a general project aimed at improving building security and facility security at town properties.
Okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of transfer request number 47, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 48 for the police department.
Make a motion for transfer number 48 from the police, for the police department in the amount of $15,500 from SIP to be transferred to police vehicles for the storage boxes for police cruisers.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Chief Carl, could you just give us a brief explanation?
Sure, so, typically the police cruisers that are on the road have many pieces of equipment in their back. We no longer have the ability to keep those secured, so we're finding that the equipment's banging into the modems. Their modems are $2,000, are pretty costly. We had a fire extinguisher go off on a motor vehicle stop and taking the whole inside of the cruiser, kind of embarrassing. But it's one of the things that have happened. We're finding our arcane kits being destroyed, so we're just looking for totes, updated equipment. Some of the other stuff is the ability to hold our bolt cutters, rams, things of that nature. Typically, we looked at this and we were in up near $50,000. Deputy Chief and I looked at it and we looked at what was actually necessary. And this is the number.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of transfer request number 48, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 49 for the town properties.
Make a motion for transfer number 49 from town properties in the amount of $35,000. Be transferred from SIP to annex improvement for the electronic signage for town hall annex.
For a second.
Second.
There is a little information in our forwarded to us on these signs that are similar to the one that's at the high school, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, same company.
And companies has the fancy changes on regularly if you want to or whatever. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 50, town properties again.
Make a motion for transfer of 50 for 35,000 from CIP transfer to town hall improvements for the current sign at the town hall.
There's a second.
Second.
And this is all pending zoning approval changes, right?
I think Tuesday is when I vote that.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of transfer request number 50, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Request number 51 for the police department. Have a motion.
Make a motion for transfer number 51 for the police department in the amount of $21,000 for a CIP transfer to police technology for the upgrade to the phone system.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Just give us a brief one on this one if you would, Chief.
Sure, our phone system is old, it's been upgraded, but it's old. Currently, right now, we pay for 1 gig download speeds in the phones that go through our computers. They follow the extension of the officer. The technology in the older phones is choking those upload, download speeds. 1 gig down to 100 megabits per second. It's just with all of the things that we have now and what's coming in the future for modern police department, it's just unmanageable. This allows, doesn't block it, choke that down, and allows it to get back up to the speeds.
Very good, thank you. Further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of transfer request number 51, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I believe this is the last one, number 52 for the police department.
Make a motion for transfer 52, 58,000 from CIP transfer to police vehicles for replacement of the K9 cruiser from accident. That's the insurance.
For seconds.
I'll second.
All right, and I know information was forwarded to us just being event today on this one. And obviously this is after the insurance comes through on the vehicle. So, any questions or discussion? In favor of transfer request number 52, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Move on to 8D, reconciliations, town side.
Balance to April. Oh, maybe May. No, I'm thinking May, but I don't know.
Well, you're on vacation, so we'll give you a check on that. Board of Ed? You may, perfect, thank you. All right, 9 is done. Patrick, would you just like to give a few updates on what's going on in your department? or your
Yeah,
work?
absolutely. I mean, I can tell you the kids aren't in school. But on a positive note, this last day of school was, last Tuesday, we had a middle school promotion on Monday, high school graduation, on, Wednesday. Both at East Windsor High School and both went, very, very well. And certainly, as you could, see for yourselves as far as the students that, spoke up today, early on for public participation, very proud of the progress and, the students of East Windsor.
Thank you. All right, new business. I don't believe we have any. We did a lot of new business tonight under various other items. Unfinished business, I believe we have none. Board member comments. Start with Randy tonight.
It's just in regarding the 4 projects. I just want to give my support to all 4 of them, especially the track. I'll be out of town next week when the town meeting will be coming forward, so I will not be able to attend. But I just want to make my recommendation to approve all 4 projects.
Sure.
No, just nice to see everybody here. I don't think I've seen a crowd like this before, but it's great to see everybody. And so we greatly appreciate everyone's feedback on what we have to do.
I'd like to echo Tom's statement that I hope everybody that came out for this meeting comes out voting for the projects.
We've had a lot of talk about people not knowing when things are happening. One of the things we're doing tonight is signs, but I hope that all of us can get out our neighbors information about the town meeting next week. It is important for people to attend, and word of mouth is still affected. So I would encourage everybody to encourage your neighbors to come out to the town meeting because we need everybody there.
I'd just like to say, again, thank you for everybody who participated tonight. It was a long meeting, but I feel we accomplished a lot tonight. As I've said in the past, I do give a lot of credit to our town manager, the managers in our town departments. Amy for managing our money well and being able to have us in the situation we are to approve some of these projects that we've actually kicked the can down the road for many, many years. It's nice to see some of these things get done and check some of those things on a CIP list that have been lagging there for many, many years off. So, again, thank you. All of our department heads in town and for managing our money, the Board of Ed and all. And again, thank you for coming out tonight, and it's nice to see Swindler moving forward a little bit. Thank you all. And with that, the next meeting will be July 17th, which will be our normal monthly meeting, which will be back on our normal Wednesday. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.